Still no deal between the U.S. and China as the tariffs and trade war continue. But President Trump tells Time magazine Chinese President Xi has called him to talk business. That's a good sign. Here's the president this morning as he left for Rome to attend the funeral of Pope Francis.
We're going to meet with a lot of the foreign leaders. They want to meet. Trade deals are going very well.
Time magazine that President Xi called you. When did that happen and what did you discuss?
I'll let you know at the appropriate time. Let's see if we can make a deal.
Meantime, China is reportedly considering suspending its 125% tariff on some U.S. imports. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble is at the White House this morning with more. Hey, Grady.
Hey, Julie, the back and forth between the Trump administration and Beijing about who's talking to whom and who's saying what continues today. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs posted this on X, saying China and the U.S. are not having any consultation or negotiation on #tariffs. The U.S. should stop creating confusion. President Trump, on the other hand, says talks with China are active, telling Time magazine in an interview about the president's first 100 days in office, President Xi has called, and I don't think that's a sign of weakness on his behalf. But when a reporter asked the president this morning if the two have talked or if Xi has called since tariffs were put into place, he didn't answer that question. Meanwhile, the administration says it's making headway with certain countries. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent met with South Korea, saying things are moving faster than expected. Bessent also met with the Japanese finance minister yesterday. Here is President Trump's progress report on his way to Rome.
I'm getting along very well with Japan. We're very close to a deal. I think the tariff plan is doing very well. We're resetting the table. We're going to make our country very rich, very, very rich. It's already happening.
And we're also learning today that Apple is reportedly shifting production of iPhones for the U.S. market from China to India with a goal of producing almost all iPhones for the United States in India by the end of next year. Perhaps putting some pressure on the Chinese might be part of the reason they're considering dropping or suspending tariffs on some goods. Julie?
All right. Hopeful that works out. Thank you very much, Grady Trimble. So Steve Moore, co-founder of Unleashed Prosperity and former Trump economic advisor, joins me now to dig in on this one. All right, first tell me, President Trump says that he expects to have that trade deal in the next 3 to 4 weeks. He says he would consider it a total victory if the U.S. had tariffs as high as 50% on foreign imports next year. Would you consider that a victory, 50%?
I sure would. And Julie, I'm a big fan of this president's economic agenda on taxes and deregulation and the border policies. It's been miraculous what he's done. I have not been a big fan of his tariff policies. I'm not someone who thinks tariffs are a good economic tool. But it appears now that Trump is proving me wrong, because if he gets these deals that he's talking about with China, with Japan, with Korea, with the Europeans, we could have a real boom in the stock market. Now, look, the last couple of months have been really tough on business, been tough on investors. It's been choppy waters and a lot of losses. But I'm here to tell you, I really believe if we get those deals consummated that he's talking about, and then you get the trade deal, I think you're going to see one of the biggest booms you ever saw in the stock market. Now, we've got to stay tuned because nothing has been resolved yet.
Right. Okay. I think everyone's going to be thrilled to hear what you say on this because, typically tariffs, they will cost the U.S. taxpayer more money when you're buying goods because we're paying more to get it here. What do you think of China reportedly considering suspending its 125% tariff on some U.S. imports? Obviously, that was retaliatory. Obviously, this is a numbers game. Obviously, Trump is using the tariffs as a negotiating tactic. It's going to hurt in the short term, but hopefully it plays out in the long term. Is that what your belief is? And what do you think China's going to do?
Well, Julie, you summarized it very well. I can't improve on that. I would just remind your viewers that China is one of the worst abusers, if not the worst abusers of the global trading system. We made a huge mistake as a country 20-some years ago of allowing them into the WTO. Why is it today, by the way, that China is still considered a most favored trading nation? I mean, they should be our least favored trading nation because of their abuses. And it's not just trade, Julie. Julie, they steal our technologies. They rip us off. We've spent billions of dollars developing a new technology or a new drug, and then they just copycat it and violate all of the patent laws. So there's a lot of work to be done for China to get back in our good graces. But if they do, and I think Trump is going to get these kind of concessions, I just don't know if it's going to be next week or next month or 6 months from now. One other quick point, if I may, Julie. What is not being reported by the press very often is that China is in big, deep trouble right now economically. They cannot win a trade war with the United States.
They can't afford
Their economy
this.
will go into a Great Depression.
Absolutely. They cannot afford it. Trump knows it. That's why he's doing this. The Trump administration, meantime, has also announced a plan to clean up a housing crisis that exploded under President Biden, as you know, right? Right now, almost 1/3 of Americans are called housing poor. That means they are spending 30% or more of their income on a place to live. And the problems are ongoing. Home sales falling last month by nearly 6%, the biggest drop we've seen actually since 2022. That's right after the pandemic. Not a good sign. According to a Heritage Foundation analysis, the median cost of a home shot up nearly 115% in the 3 years after Biden took office. That means it costs families an extra $13,000 per year for that same house compared to January of 2021. Rents also soaring to record highs. Analysis authors wrote the Biden administration has effectively transformed home ownership into a luxury outside the reach of the middle class. And Miranda Devine, well, she said it in a new opinion piece, Miranda Devine, that young people have all but given up on the American dream of home ownership that their parents and grandparents achieved. This is a really sad state when it comes to the housing crisis. Do you see any sort of positive change in the near future?
Well, I just want to recap what you just said, because Biden was a total disaster for housing policy in America. Remember that the mortgage interest rates, remember, Julie, they went up and up and up and up and up and up. And when the mortgage rates go up, it makes it really hard to buy a new home. I think they were like 2 or 3% under Trump, and they went up to 6, 7%, and even 8% under Biden. And that meant that the average mortgage payment, if for somebody who wanted to buy a new house, doubled in just 4 years. So yes, this is a disaster for the country. By the way, I have 3 sons that are in their late 20s or early 30s. Just about the time Americans start thinking about buying a house, they can't afford to buy a house now, and they've got good jobs. They just can't afford it. Now, one other quick point, Julie. This is a blue state and blue city crisis mostly because where housing is really most unaffordable is under these progressive policies that have not allowed builders to build new housing.
Absolutely. New York, Connecticut, California. I mean, it's impossible. It's not affordable for anyone, not just somebody straight out of college or somebody in their 20s. People that are in their 40s and 50s can't afford their mortgages anymore, especially those who locked into interest-only rates. I mean, me included. A new housing report card from Realtor.com gives states grades based on affordability. And the most affordable states are Iowa, Texas, and South Carolina. No surprise, New York and California, like I just mentioned, rank among the worst. In fact, a new bill in the Golden State would allow homeless college students, how sad is that, to sleep in their cars because of the state's housing crisis. That is terrible. California has among the lowest homeownership rates and the most expensive housing in the U.S., with rent about 50% higher than the national median. We cannot continue to live like this.
It's a national tragedy. It is the loss of the American dream. You're right. The idea that you've got people in their 20s and 30s that have to sleep at night in their car. I mean, that's like the Great Depression era. It's a lot of this is due to zoning policies and building restrictions in these blue cities where they just don't allow new housing to be built. You've seen the pictures. You show them on Fox News all the time. What's happened in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, where people are sleeping in tents. Families, not just, families are having to sleep in tents under bridges. I mean, it should not be happening in America. Let's put it like that. And I think Trump is going to change that situation fast.
All right. Well, let's hope we see a fix quick. Steve Moore, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.